And speaking about raving, the critics are raving about episode 43 of the Afterthoughts podcast.
Come on.
For those that have already seen a pre-released version of this episode.
I haven't seen that.
The focus groups are going crazy. People are loving this episode.
Okay.
Guys, welcome back. Great to see everybody.
here.
Haley, Kayla,
Thank you.
Doug Ryan,
Haley
of course.
says hi.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm going to start with a shock to the system.
Okay.
Really?
Just trying out a new segment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's called Around the World.
Nice.
Okay.
I like it.
I'm going to tell you some things going on around the world and see what you think.
Okay. Go.
Okay, first, the Celtics won the NBA championship.
Yep. Yes.
I was the only one who predicted the Celtics.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, congratulations, Ethan.
Indifferent.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing that I learned last night. Their head coach, Joe Mazzulla, is 10 days younger than you.
Are you serious?
The head coach of the NBA champion Celtics.
June
Dang.
10th.
June 30th.
June 30th.
Younger.
Wait a second, but 10 is lower than 20. Oh, now
Yeah.
I understand.
We'll do a separate episode to explain how
Okay.
age works.
So
Yep.
if Doug had won an NBA title like 7 days ago, he would have been on par with him to keep up. So how do you feel about your life, Doug?
I feel that makes me feel terrible.
This guy's younger than you.
By the way, I have a question for you two. This
Thanks,
is
man.
the 3 days where you are the same age.
It's true. We're both 35.
And we're recording a podcast in it.
and we can finally relate
We'll
to
probably
each
really
other.
How do
be
you
on the
feel?
same page. Relate in so many ways that we normally can't.
You guys are my elders for these
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say I'm
Yeah.
here to learn from you guys today.
I got to
good.
tell the story of when Jim Candy called me out for the age thing.
Kayla just did this the other day.
Because
did,
this is relevant to Kayla.
Go.
I think I was 24 and was starting a church, Ascent Community Church in Louisville, Colorado, with Bill and Jim, who were
Bill and Jim.
probably both 42, 43 at the time. And it was those two guys, and then I was kind of the intern, younger guy
Yeah.
who did all the social media, all the production, ran the
Sounds
youth,
familiar.
ran the young adults.
You know you're in
Yeah.
trouble.
Oh
When
man,
your guy
when I'm
doing
doing all of those
He's
things,
the utility guy.
and
He's setting up speakers, and then he's
Yep.
getting kids ministry running.
Making a website.
before we launched the church, the months leading up, we sat in an office we rented about the size of this room.
Yeah.
And we had a whiteboard on one of the walls, and we just had a ton of names of people that we were trying to recruit for the launch team.
Nice.
Because when you're trying to start a church,
That's all you can do.
we like 6
You
years
need-
ago, that's
you need
all we
some-
were thinking about is how the heck are we supposed to do this?
Let's go to the gym and hopefully we meet somebody
just
there.
meet some people and say
Jim Candy.
you should come to this church when we start it,
Yeah.
whenever that is. But Jim looked at me and said, "Hey man, if we're gonna get a younger crowd at this church, it's gonna be because you invite them.
Right.
So who do you know who's your age?" And I remember throwing out some names. I said, "Oh man, my friend Shannon, my friend Luke, maybe he'd be interested." And then I said, "My friend Jana, yeah, I think Jana's really cool. She'd probably be interested in this church." And then I out loud I said, "Oh, but you know what? She's not my age. She graduated the year after me." And Jim looked at me and said, "Oh, so she's 23 and you're 24?"
Yeah.
And
She's your
It was
age.
a light bulb. He said, "Hey, buddy, for the rest of your life, she is now your age. You're not 7th and 8th grade anymore, defining yourself by what year of high school you're in. If she's within 10 years of you,
She's
you're the
your
same
age.
age for the rest of your life
10 years
right now."
the number to go? We're the same age if we're within 10 years
I think
of each
it's.
other.
I think 10 years is good.
I mean,
I'm gonna
generations
go with
now-
7.
Yeah, there you go. So
7
3.5
on-
years,
7 on
3.5
either side?
years
Maybe
north
5.
and south.
'Cause you-
Or-
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd be like you and Wade.
No, it wouldn't. First
Well,
of
10
all,
years. 10 years.
12.
Oh,
and
really?
no. I said 7, and yes, 3.5 either side, within a 7-year range, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't say a 28-year-old and I are the same age.
No, that's true. But right now,
We're not the same age, Haley.
for a few days, are you 28? For a few days, we are the same
You
age.
are the same
Exact same
age.
So
age.
we can finally talk about stuff because
Yeah.
once I'm 36, we're going to be
Oh,
in
man.
different
It's gonna be like
worlds.
talking to my dad all
It's
over
gonna be
again.
so
Who is
hard.
this guy?
I kind of feel like you two
What
should
was
be.
this?
Can you two be on that side
Yeah,
of
we
the
should
table and
have
then I'll
shifted.
be over
This is probably
here?
awkward for you.
Yeah. I'll just be here listening.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
You can tell us about Blue's Clues and Pokemon.
tell you all the.
Okay, enough about that. Around the world. This is a very interesting story. It's all over the news this week.
But that does make me feel like I'm not doing anything with my life, knowing that he is 10 days
yeah,
younger.
and I just
than
want
me.
wild.
to affirm that.
No,
you are
thank
not.
you. I appreciate that.
the Surgeon General has been very vocal in the past few days and before that, but especially right now, saying that social media companies should have a warning similar to tobacco warnings for people who log on to a social media site.
Wow.
Completely
We talk
disagree.
about social media a lot.
Social media is the healthiest thing in the world.
Good.
Doom scrolling is the best use of your time.
Clip that. And let's.
Great.
And that's all I got.
Amen.
What did you think about that?
Good.
Yeah, dude.
Thank God.
There's a book that came out recently called The Anxious Generation that is fascinating and will floor you. And looking at the era of 2010 to 2015 has forever changed
Yes.
the rest of human history.
Yes.
And watching essentially anxiety and depression double.
Wow.
Double, especially, and it goes immediately almost for young girls. You watch like the anxiety and depression from when everybody starts to have social media. The graphs is like he described like a hockey stick, like that elbow. All of a sudden, it's just, and for young boys, it ends up being the same. It's just more of a gradual time to get there. But how the different eras of American history is a couple decades ago, we were all outside. We were the generation who would play, and you would learn so much about how to grow up by playing and being with other kids and having to solve conflict without mom and dad there. And now no kids are really let outside or allowed to just kind of go wander off and be home by dinner. But instead we're in front of screens and learning social interaction through social media. And it's only like anxiety and depression are doubled. And to everybody who is part of creating social media, who says, well, that's not proven, they have no other idea to offer of maybe what is causing that.
Yeah.
It has to be social
A
media.
2019 study found the risks of depression doubled among teens who scrolled for more than 3 hours a day. The average teen scrolls for 4.8 hours a day on social media.
4.8 hours a day.
4.8.
I heard that and I was like, man, what took so long for this to
Yeah.
be a thing? Like, I feel like we're 10 years too late on warning people about this.
Yeah.
But I do think if you logged every time you got on, there was first a warning, that would slow people down maybe a little bit. Yeah. I feel like everyone knows at the same time in our culture, like, this is probably not good for me, but continues.
Yeah.
Like, no one can actually withstand it.
Nobody can stop.
So maybe this is a helpful thing that
Well, that's
might
called
slow
addiction.
A few people. Exactly.
Yeah,
But
100%.
it follows all
addiction.
of the clinical
Yeah,
descriptions of
exactly.
addiction.
Yeah.
So that's why you need some warnings to go, hey, this could cause depression and anxiety and all these things in your life every single time you open it.
Yeah.
I think that would be very wise.
One of the things I've done, and this may help somebody, is I have Instagram in a folder that's called Waste of Time. And so that's my way of
That's
reminding
good.
myself. I still get on
You
to
should
post
put
and whatever.
stupid in front of
But
waste of time.
I have to consciously acknowledge, oh, I'm about to waste my time right now.
Yes.
And sometimes it
That's
stops
really
me.
good.
Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes
That's
it does.
really good.
Waste of time.
Think
Okay.
about 4.8 hours a day as a teenager. If you used half of that every day to learn a skill,
Oh, dude. You're
or
at
you,
10,000
exercise,
hours.
Like, do you know how
in
much
no time.
you could accomplish in that time? 4.8 hours a day.
So-
What did people used to do? Be good at life.
Yeah.
Well, and then at the same time, everybody complains we don't have enough time.
Yeah, everyone's
Oh,
so
dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
What people used to do is they used to get good at their craft.
Hey,
Yeah, truly become experts. And the problem
Yeah.
too is probably the majority of that 4.8 hours is when people could be sleeping and then they'd be healthier. That would
Okay.
also be good.
Anybody
That
who
contributes
wants
to a
to-
lot of mental.
anybody who's ever said like, man, I just don't have enough time right now, and you want to be, sometimes conviction is a great catalyst to change.
Yeah.
If you want that, spend a week and do a honest
Audit.
time audit.
Yeah.
A time audit, and be completely honest. For this 5 minutes, what did you do? For that 15 minutes, what did you do? Did you pick up a book or did you scroll?
Yeah.
What did you really do when the kids went to bed? How many hours of TV did you actually watch?
Yeah.
What did you do in the morning? Like genuinely do it to the point where it's an honest mirror and picture of your life, and it'll be like sobering. One thing we talked about just in a side conversation, you and me last week, like how good it can feel to finally sober up to what's really been going on and just come face to face with it.
Yep.
It feels like ice water being dumped over your head and shocks you.
Yeah.
But sometimes I hopped in ice this morning and it feels so good though to really wake up to what's happening around you. Yeah. A time audit, an honest time audit will scare the crap out of you. Yeah.
Years ago, I was golfing with my friend Nate, who's a big stats data guy, and he like every time he finishes a round of golf, he puts, here's how many fairways I hit, here's my scores. And I told him, I said, I'm not good at doing that because it scares me. And he looked at me, we were having lunch after the round, and he goes, numbers are just numbers. Just be honest about where you're at, and then it gets really fun because you see what you need to improve and all that. And it's admittedly something I'm not good at because I'm afraid to like face the bad news. But it's like if you just get honest and you take the judgment aside and audit your week, you'll start to see the trends. And you'll be able to make adjustments and fix things. I love that.
Yeah, when you keep score in golf based on like thinking, well, that putt I should have made, so I'm just going to put that down. Or those 3 shots I hit out of bounds, I wasn't really on. It's like, well, the score that you came up with is not really what you did.
According to what?
And nobody else cares.
Right.
So how are you going to get better if you don't write down what's true?
Totally.
And the same thing for a time audit. Yeah, I feel like you're going to like kind of just fumble the numbers just a little bit just to make it seem better, as if the world is watching this or your teacher's grading it. Nobody's grading it.
I feel
this
like
is for you to wake up and see.
everyone has the Truman Show mentality.
Yes.
That the whole world's watching everything I do, so I have to like kind of cook the books in my life so people think I'm better than I am, but nobody else is paying that close of attention. You could just get better. But speaking of golf, real quick.
And you have to know where you are in order to go somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Devastating U.S. Open weekend.
I almost got my prediction right.
I was very confident in my team with Scotty Scheffler, and I have to own that because it did not go well.
You do have to own that.
I actually got last place in our pool.
You made the right pick.
I had to pay double.
You made the right pick.
You had to pay $40 instead of $20.
I did. Yeah, so you guys all Venmo me if you can to make up for that extra 20. That was
Scotty
tough.
started GoFundMe.
Scotty had a tough weekend.
Yeah. Scotty had a tough weekend, and then Rory missed a 2.5
Rory,
foot putt.
dude, that was so painful.
Missed the
That was
playoff.
so sad.
2 of them.
And Logan had Rory,
Yeah.
so he was probably pretty upset.
Yeah.
But he also liked the other guy. But he was sad for himself.
DeChambeau, I don't
First
have a
off,
problem with him.
the amount of that length of putt that I've missed in my life is
I would have
insane.
missed that. I would have probably hit it 6 feet past the hole.
And we're talking with no pressure. And he had all the pressure in the world.
Yeah.
Oh man, there was such a difference in demeanor between those two coming up on 18 though.
Yeah.
Rory, you could feel it. I pray that he doesn't, but I think he's gonna miss this.
Yeah.
And Bryson, even from the sand, you're like, this guy is in the zone and is there. You have to have a mindset when you get to that point.
Yeah.
As if I've ever been there. Right. But I'm just assuming based on what people say.
Yeah.
You have to have a mindset where you go, I am going to go take this tournament.
Isn't it
This
so
is
true,
mine.
man?
I've done everything to get 99% of the way there, but to be able to go, now I'm going to go take it.
Yeah.
Bryson had that mindset coming out of the sand trap, and then that putt on 18. You just knew he's not going to mess this up. And my feelings about him over the last year have changed so much.
Yeah.
I feel like he was having a blast,
He's good
man.
for the sport,
In
man.
between every
for the
hole,
sport.
he's like
Fans.
giving high fives to fans
Yeah,
and
man.
enjoying himself, smiling, and then his passion. You can tell he's got a big heart. His reaction when he sank that final putt on
he
18,
was so-
he
so
stuck
fired
around
up.
forever
Yeah.
to make sure every person who was there, every kid who was there, got a signature from him.
I love
and
that.
just enjoyed the whole experience. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
As hard as it was.
we know that.
Yes.
We know that Bryson DeChambeau is a big fan of this podcast. So
Right.
congratulations,
Yeah, thanks, Bryson.
on the U.S. Open.
Come back anytime, man.
I will say the only silver lining in my great loss this past weekend was we played golf on Friday, and I had an eagle and 2 birdies in my round, which was more than Scotty had that day. So I technically played better than him, although my score was a lot worse than his.
I wish you had bet on
overall.
yourself instead of on Scotty.
But
He was 2 under after the first hole.
chipped in for eagle on number 1.
Yeah.
Never done
Should've
that
stopped.
in my life. I should have left.
Should have gone home.
Ended up shooting bogey golf, which is about what I do.
great.
Par for the course, but I should say bogey.
Bogey for the course. I will.
Kayla, you're
Yeah.
kind of quickly the villain on this episode because you
What?
run social media for the church.
Oh yeah, I know. I was.
And we were just
looking
talking
at my
about
screen
social
time.
media.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Yikes.
as the bad guy, do you have any questions for us today?
I do. I will say though, I'll out.
Can we give her the
myself.
Kylo Ren voice
Oh,
thing?
yeah,
No, I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
I will finish what you started.
My social averages from
That's not
1
kinda
hour to 3 hours, so that's not good. But
1 to
Yours
3
is?
hours?
How much of that is for work, though?
Yeah.
great question. I don't know.
Some of it's kingdom building, you know?
Fair,
right.
yeah.
We do have a lot of stories of people who are like, oh, I saw it on I saw an ad on Instagram, and,
Great.
or my friend
Yep.
shared something on Instagram, so I came to church.
Love to hear that.
So you are doing good in the midst of a
Absolutely.
very bad thing
Right.
that is social media.
Yes.
Right.
So good job.
Can't tell if I'm helping or not.
Well, sometimes helping hurts.
You're like Robin Hood.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
You don't.
Yeah.
There's
go.
so many. Like,
we
this
go.
Is, this is the problem, right? There's so many balancing statements that have to be made, and it's a necessary evil, or is it? I don't know.
There's
I
good
don't know.
within it, but anything that the whole world has access to, overall, the world will use for
Right.
destruction.
Right.
It's just what humans
Fair.
love to do.
It does point out the brokenness of humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes
Anytime
us-
there's a good thing, we'll take it and use it for
It
bad.
makes us play the comparison game, but it leads to depression. Okay.
Oh, the double negative.
Any questions?
You had
Yeah,
a few
I
good
got a
ones
few questions.
this weekend.
We can talk about
do
that in a
with, can
second.
do that with putting as well. Well, it was left, but it was short. Okay.
That's when we realized was when your grandpa did
grandpa.
that. I was
So
like, that is
good.
the funniest thing I've
That's
ever
so
heard.
good,
when he
dude.
missed that putt and said, well, it was left, but it was short. I just was like, that was genius.
I'm going to use that in my lifetime.
Yep. Which we
You want
do
to know,
every
you wanna
single day.
know why my grandpa's got so many good things to say? Never had social media.
Well,
Yeah.
social media. Well,
There
it's a
you go.
waste of time, but it makes you anxious and depressed.
So if you could get one day with a theologian, who would it be?
But you have to pronounce, because they always have two
Hey.
letters, you have to pronounce it.
Yeah.
The two letters.
And I'll go as R.C. Wekenman for that day. You could be E.G. Matott.
Igmatot.
Can it be dead or alive?
Yeah, dead or alive.
Oh, it's like 500.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis is
Yeah.
mine easily. Just to ask him questions and listen. And we'll probably end up talking Narnia most of the time, but I have so many questions for him about so many things.
C.S. Lewis or N.T. Wright?
Yeah,
Yeah, those are good.
good.
There's a guy named Gene Edwards that writes some
Yes.
really amazing books
Gene.
that I like.
Good call,
like to-
man.
That's a
like to
great one.
Sit down with.
Yeah.
He might still be alive.
Can't go back.
All right, man. You already picked Clive.
I did.
Could have picked the Apostle Paul. He's a theologian.
That's true. That's a great
Guess.
question.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote.
Yeah, Paul.
Romans,
I'll go
for
Paul. Good
Right.
call.
Yeah.
Got a lot of questions on a few things.
Yeah. And a few questions on a lot of things.
Great.
Go ahead.
Okay. Next one. What's your favorite TV song, like intro, like theme music? You know.
The OC, California.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think Ethan just won.
Yeah. The first time I
Great
heard
show.
the Office theme song, I remember thinking, not only is this catchy, it's so perfect for this show.
Didn't Lil Wayne do a rap
I think he
version
did.
of that song?
Yeah, he did.
Pretty awesome.
Well, I'm just gonna say this
See you
because I have a
buff.
story to go with it.
Okay.
A few months ago, I was
Scrubs.
on a flight.
I'm no Superman.
I was on a flight home from Phoenix
play
back
that
to
on here
Austin,
sometime.
Okay.
and sat in the very back row. You know, back where the bathroom is.
And your seat
And-
doesn't recline.
Nope.
Oh, man.
And me
Love
and the
that.
guy next to me had
Well, the seat doesn't recline,
a
but people keep walking
great-
past you.
We had a great and
Smells like an outhouse.
hilarious conversation. It's one of those conversations where he asked me what I do like 20 minutes into it, and then when I say pastor, he's like, "Oh, dang it! I've said so many things." And but then he found out
the
quickly.
best.
I'm like, "Bro,
We're good.
we're good."
I'm not offended.
And
I don't know you.
he was flying to Austin
You
to
don't owe
play
me
a show with his band. They've been around forever.
Was it Chris Stapleton?
Yes.
What? He was in
Yes.
the back row? Wow.
No, Clive Staples.
Lewis.
That's what you're going to name your next kid.
Whoa.
Oh, I got to put that.
Yes.
Let's do predictions.
But his band, he said, we're best known for the theme song for King of the Hill.
No way.
Yeah.
How does that
he's-
go?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep, and he's
Are
the
there
drummer.
words or just is it
He's
just
the drummer
Oh.
for that.
Instrumental.
So
No
That's
way.
cool.
Yeah.
You met the drummer of one of our childhood shows.
yes, exactly.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Very cool.
And the greatest King of the Hill moment, maybe one of the greatest TV moments ever, is when Hank Hill can't open the lid on his can of WD-40.
Yeah.
And so he pulls out a tiny can of WD-40 and sprays the lid of the big can and then gets the lid off.
So good.
Wow.
That's just so good.
Well, speaking of congratulations, Doug, you're about to have your third child.
Yeah.
Let me
Doug.
make sure Sam's not in labor.
Every time someone on the Afterthoughts crew is having a kid, we do our
Annual
predictions.
Wow.
Predictions.
So let me interrupt you real quick to
Is
do
it that time
predictions.
again?
It's that time again. Could be any day now, so let's predict the date.
Yep.
If it's a boy or girl, because they don't know, because they're psychopaths. Male or female.
Date.
We can just
Date,
delay gratification.
Gender, and everyone gets to submit a name
A name.
Okay.
vote.
Yeah.
Today, the day we're filming is what? June
17th. 18th.
Okay.
Is it really? Wow.
Can you believe that, Kayla? It's already June 18th.
Where does the time go?
That's why we haven't talked about this.
We'll be
Stanley
doing
Cup,
our
'cause
New
we
Year's
don't know
Eve,
yet.
second annual New Year's Eve episode in no
Can't
time.
wait.
Can't wait for that. All right, Merlot. What day?
I feel like I know what it is, so
Well, you're cheating.
You are the father.
You know what I'm gonna say, or you know what day it's gonna happen.
I know what day it's gonna happen.
Let's go.
Hold on,
with-
let me see if I can
Oh,
think of what you're thinking. Okay, I know you're gonna say too. Go ahead.
let's go with the 25th.
Six.
From today.
Okay,
Okay.
6:25.
Okay. What else? do I-
Boy or girl?
Girl.
Okay. And what would you like them to name her?
Oh shoot, I wasn't thinking. Let's name her. Yeah.
Haley Kayla.
Yeah. First name Haley.
Hayla.
second name Kayla.
Hayla.
Hayla Kaylee.
Oh, let's go with Charlotte.
Charlotte.
And
From-
Charlie for short?
Charlotte
I
from
like
the
that.
web.
From the web.
I like the name
There's
Charlie.
a staff up in Denver named Charlotte, and I've always told her her personal creative site should be charlotteswebsite.com.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hope she does
It's
it.
a big Ethan joke.
I'm going to buy that domain and sell it to her for half price.
She likes that joke. Char, if you're watching, what's up?
You should have gone with Hannah after both of your sisters' name. Okay, Kayla, you're up.
Do you have two sisters named Hannah?
Nope, Hannah and Heidi. And he
Oh.
just thinks they're both named Hannah.
Oh.
Hannah and Hannah Jr. I got it mixed up once, and I've never
That's
corrected it. Years later.
I think, well, us as a staff, we already guessed, so I can't change my answer.
You can.
No.
This is the podcast guess. It's like doing two brackets.
Well, I'm going to stick with mine.
Fine. Oh, she's going to do a same bracket.
Yeah.
For
Same.
June
Submit.
June 21st,
21st,
21st.
because it's Volunteer Appreciation Day, you know, like just make it a big thing.
Okay.
Um,
I see how that ties, yeah.
Longest day of the year.
Boy or
Summer
girl?
solstice.
I think girl.
Okay, female.
That one I don't know. And
You're more confident about the date than the 50-50 one?
yeah.
I know the
Indecisive.
date because of the volunteer party.
yeah.
Name?
Name CS.
CS.
CS? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Wonder what that'll stand for.
Nice.
Ryan?
Chris Stapleton Wekenman.
I'm going June 20th.
Oh.
Sharing a birthday with Doug.
Wow. Oh yeah, it's almost
living the dream.
Doug's birthday too. You guys can Venmo me for that as well.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Boy
For
or
your
girl?
birthday? For my birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, happy birthday, Doug. Here you
Just
go,
'cause
Ethan.
You won't be here, so
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's going to be a boy
male.
named Gordon Bombay Wekenman.
Gordon Bombay.
I like that a lot.
Maybe.
All right. I'm gonna go with 6/22, June 22th.
Nice.
It's my parents' anniversary, and they did your premarital counseling. So
Yeah.
wouldn't that be a full circle moment?
And officiated your wedding.
Wow.
I think it's a girl.
Yeah. Do you have an honest guess for a name? Or a joke guess?
I have a guess for a boy's name.
Okay. What's your guess for a boy's name?
Cruz.
Oh, I do love that name.
I know you love that name.
Oh,
And you
man.
drive a Chevy Cruze.
That's why.
Chevy Cruze is.
And Tom Cruise, you're a huge Top Gun guy.
Right. Very big Top Gun
Maybe
guy.
Maverick.
Uh-huh.
So
Ooh.
since it's a girl,
and I just
though-
love to cruise, man.
Yeah,
What's
you
the
do,
girl's
man. You're
name?
always
I love
cruising.
cruises also.
What's the girl's name in Top Gun?
Penny.
Yeah, I'll go with Penny.
Penny Benjamin.
Interesting.
I don't
Penny.
see Sadie
Penny
over
Benjamin.
with that.
Okay, Doug, you're last, but it's your kid, so this matters the most.
June 21st.
Mine.
Kayla's day. Day after my birthday. Summer solstice. Longest day
Longest
of the year.
day of the year.
True.
And by that I mean the longest like daytime.
Yeah, still
You know what I'm
24
saying?
hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just
Shouldn't
more
have
light.
to explain that, but you do.
Steve Roger Wekenman.
Male.
Girl.
What?
I think I've met a Stevie. I think
Yeah.
I've
Stevie
met a
Roger.
Stevie
Yeah.
Nicks.
There you
Next.
go.
Oh, that's
She's
right,
a
we
friend
were.
of the show.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Welcome back
Spin-
anytime.
Okay, did you have one last question, or are we?
Yeah, I
Sorry.
did. So this is a question from my junior, Kayla Jr.
Kayla Jr.
Kayla Jr.
Yeah.
Here we go.
She's wondering, what would your last meal on Earth be?
Splash and Meadow from Benihana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With everything.
Do we get to have the?
And I listened to With Everything by Hillsong.
Yeah, that's good. And then Where I Belong by Switchfoot.
What a good song.
You know what I mean?
Good song to die to.
It
I
is.
I might do that.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Given
I'll
the
have
op-
that, I'll have
given
that
the option.
splash in- What happens? I'll have that splash and meadow with you.
Yeah,
listening
man.
to Where I Belong and With
We can just all do
Everything.
this together.
yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be shocking if we just ended up choosing the same thing. And
No.
that's cool.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Great question.
Great question.
Did they answer it?
Splash and Meadow at Benihana.
We focus more on the song, but-
8-person table for 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We focused more on the song. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we each need 2 seats for all of our plates.
Great.
So we're gonna get some sushi up top as well.
All right.
Appetizer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So last day.
Sashimi.
Anything else,
Say
Kayla?
something.
That's all I got.
But it is a good segue. You always kind of, your last question is always strategically
Yeah.
kind of a segue into our conversation. And you
technically have
said
another one.
before you die, which
Yeah.
is what we're talking about, is death.
I
What
have another
happens
death one.
when you die?
This podcast already for all of the YouTube watchdog critics who do all the reaction videos to all of our Afterthoughts clips.
Yeah.
They are.
They are.
Everybody do your
Just giving Kayla some options.
Yeah.
You know
Thank
you're gaining views and followers not because of anything you're saying, but because of the video you're showing, right?
Ethan, guess what
Just so
about
you
Doug's
know.
kid's name? June 22nd?
Yeah. Oh, the 22nd. Can't believe you said that.
Oh,
should
we
be a
need clicks.
Pastor says
I've got an
22nd. Pastor mentioned summer solstice.
Longest. Okay.
Okay.
There should be a standardized test that people have to take to get an Instagram account, a YouTube account, different tests that you have to pass
Yeah, good.
in order
Sure.
to get access.
Good.
If any of those companies want to reach out, I will help create the test.
Man.
Okay.
And it's very limited, and you have to learn and study and become
Okay, so
smarter
now-
to get there.
And you have
There's-
to use a number 2 pencil.
There's
You
a
can't do it.
U.S. Surgeon General warning.
Yes.
It's in your waste of time folder, and you have to pass a
You have
test.
to pass 100 questions.
Yeah.
And it's not all true or false.
I think that's it.
Some short answer.
Some of it's true and
It's like
false.
the ACT.
Oh.
Hold on, guys. I'm just checking my Instagram.
What were you better at? The ACT or the SAT?
Yeah, it's both, but harder.
I was better at the ACT.
What's the difference?
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. I don't know. It's been a while. But all I know is I was better at it.
Well, good. That's great.
Thanks.
Thanks for filling us in.
The ACT you're better at? Yeah. Great job, Kayla.
Thanks.
Because you're more prone to action than
guess.
than sitting.
Yeah.
There you go. So, in light of all this, what happens when I die? Do you guys think? Let's make our predictions for my death. How do I die? When do I die?
You're
And
at
then what?
Benihana.
And then what?
You're having a splashing
The
minute.
chef's going, whoops, I'm so sorry. And my head is cut off.
Your
Oh
head's
my
gone.
gosh.
But it's so sharp that I didn't even know.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
They already chopped their fingers.
well, that's
And then I'm on
nice.
New Earth, eagling every hole,
You're not on New Earth yet.
Not yet.
chipping in.
Not until the resurrection of the dead and the second coming of Christ.
Although, okay, here's just
Sure.
stretch our minds.
Okay.
Eternity is outside of time.
Yeah. True.
I always think about that because I'm like, yeah, maybe they're like in heaven
Yep.
waiting New Earth, but I don't know.
Is it like
Yeah.
is it like waking up from a dream and realizing 8 hours has passed, but you didn't realize it? I think no,
Oh,
because thief on the cross, Jesus says, "Today you will be with me." in
oh, cite your
paradise."
source.
Yeah, it's in Luke's gospel.
Luke 23:43.
So heaven, paradise,
Yeah.
something that we get like frustratingly little information about in Scripture. I believe that is a real thing that our loved ones who have passed are
Yeah.
currently enjoying.
And awaiting New Earth.
And awaiting
Do you
New Earth.
think that people, it's like the bleachers where they're watching what's happening here? Do you think that's a reality?
Like the great cloud
I
of
was-
witnesses?
There is
Yeah,
something
is it
to
like-
Hebrews 12:1.
Yeah, for sure.
A great cloud of witnesses
Mm-hmm.
witnessing what's happening right now.
Perhaps, yeah.
Do you think they have like fantasy teams?
But do you think if
Of
you're in
like-
heaven, you want to like get a glimpse into people being like posting on Instagram? You know, like I don't want to watch that. I wanna be in heaven.
The question then
I wanna pay
becomes, what
attention
can
to
you
this.
watch? Like, can you look down? It's like a fishbowl, a fish tank, and you can see like everything people do, or you kind of see like the bigger picture of things,
Right.
and
interesting
big
thought.
celebrations or baptism weekends and all that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I think the
Next week we're gonna have a guest on that can answer that for us.
Really?
No,
No.
because
But-
they would have to be dead.
I do think priorities look very different. I think it's all
Yeah.
kingdom minded, right?
Sure.
So I do think that you can almost see the cosmic war playing out, and
Yeah.
you can celebrate the victories, just like Jesus talking about all of heaven like
Right.
erupting
Right.
in praise and throwing a party. So I do. I think at
yeah.
some level you're in tune with what's going on down here, but it's not like, did the Broncos win the Super Bowl? It's how are we doing making
But
heaven
if
more
I did
crowded?
want to know that, could I find out? Do you think?
Ethan can know about that.
I will be asking around. You guys hear anything about this? Broncos? How are the Broncos? Also, to the point of there being like a present time that aligns, there's points in the Bible where angels come into play here.
Right.
So they're aligned like on a timeline,
Right.
you know, with what's going on.
Yeah, there you go.
A common misconception, we do not become angels when we go to heaven.
Yes.
Some people think that we become angels, but that's not the case.
Yeah, if you've seen Angels in the Outfield, that's where theology is incorrect.
Right. For a couple
Surprisingly.
reasons.
Well-
Phenomenal movie.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah.
Maybe there are, angels who come and help you win the World Series.
Right.
Of all the things they could
but
help
Mel
people who have
Clark,
passed
Mel
away.
Clark, yeah, it's not that God needs another angel. So Mel Clark's going to die and get called up to the big leagues.
Right.
No.
And probably not that angels are down here helping out with sports.
I don't know, man.
Dude,
When Tim Tebow was making that run, though, I kind of felt like it.
they beat the
Yeah.
Steelers in that playoff game,
Oh, yeah.
and the like 5 wins that they had leading up to it that didn't seem like they should have won. I don't know.
Something was going on. There were angels in the end zone.
Yeah, bro, Race. That's a good clip. That
All right,
good
clipping.
teaser for the episode. Something was going on.
Kid sees an angel.
Yeah, he must. That's the signal.
So anyway,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
you
dating
do.
ourselves here.
You
Nobody
got
who
one
watches
strike
this has
left.
seen Angels in the Outfield.
Dude, we watched that movie so many times.
We're not the
when
same
we were
age
kids.
as everybody else, man. I'm not
You're
even the
about to
same
be-
age as you.
Yeah, you're about to be 36 years old.
Oh, wow.
so anyway, we've been talking about what happens when you die.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very sobering conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were talking leading up to the sermon you just gave, which was one of the best sermons I think I've ever heard.
Phenomenal sermon. Go listen to Doug's sermon
thanks,
from this
guys.
weekend.
In really good intentions, there was a large grace movement
Yeah.
in the Christian church, evangelical church
Yeah.
in the West, over the past couple of decades that came out of a time of a lot of harsh truth and legalism, so the pendulum swings, and getting back to the reality that it is that you are saved through grace, by faith, very important and needed. But with that pendulum swing, I think a lot of tough topics like hell were avoided.
Yes.
And nobody really wanted to talk about judgment. Nobody wanted to talk about some of the harder topics in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And grace kind of like became such a focal point that it's almost like people get a little intoxicated. And then when hell comes up, it's like, oh, you're sober again.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but there is a reality to eternity. There's a reality that has to be looked at and talked about. But when you combine that kind of like avoidance with a culture
Yeah.
of hedonism and kind of let's pretend like
Oh, yeah.
this is
all
just going to be
good.
about me and my kingdom and everything's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be good for me. And I don't think about my mortality because I want to just be a part of getting to live forever
Right.
on my terms.
Right.
It's a very sobering, important
Yes.
conversation
Yeah,
to have because it's not avoided or ignored in the Bible.
No, dude. If you have that mentality, then you read the Gospels.
Yeah.
You go, wait, what?
Yes.
Because Jesus talked about it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time, man. Yeah, I think what you have going on in our cultural moment right now, speaking of eternity, is exactly what you said. So I gave the example that Philip of Macedon, who was Alexander the Great's dad,
Right.
hired somebody to come into his office daily and look at him in the eyes and say, Philip, one day you'll die.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that he would be forced to think about eternity and live in light of it.
Yeah.
Louis XIV of France decreed the word death not be uttered in his presence.
Isn't that wild?
So they kind of went in opposite directions.
By the way, you're terrified of something.
Dude.
Oh,
if you
dude.
won't even let the word be uttered.
But you won't even think about it. So I think most of us, including Christians, are a lot more like Louis than we are like Philip.
Yeah.
And the reason Christians are like that is because our thoughts about heaven give us no happiness and no hope at all, because most of them are incorrect.
Wow.
And part of it, probably rooting back to the past couple of centuries of Christianity, hell was such the driver of fear for people, like fearing people into faith.
Yes.
There was no focus on heaven. There was no focus on that this is temporary and what awaits us through Christ is the most incredible, amazing thing beyond your imagination. But so much theology wasn't really ever spending much time there.
No.
And so
Yeah. It's,
no one's excited. Everyone's just terrified to die.
And you see that it's the same thing as the most clicked on, the most streamed worship songs are actually not really about God. They're about what God can do for you.
Yeah. Now. Here and now.
Not right now, yeah. And the same thing with sermons. You hardly ever hear sermons preached on eternity. The only time we start talking about eternity is salvation call. So like heaven forever, then and there. That's what this is really all about. However, based on how much time we give to it, we're really kind of talking to people at like in the here and now. Here's how you bring heaven to earth now. Here's how you live in life to the full in the here and now, which absolutely is a huge part of it. But I think it's all people want to hear, because it's just so hard to grasp the idea of living for eternity in heaven. It's so hard to, and most of our thoughts on it are ethereal and less real. When in reality, I mentioned everybody who's had an after-death experience where they've been gone for moments, minutes, or even a few hours and then resuscitated back to life, describe it as more real than the table that I'm slamming right now with my hands.
Sorry,
it's more real.
Sorry for your ears.
Haley's gonna get new eardrums, courtesy of the Afterthoughts podcast. Once everyone Venmos me for the
on
US Open pool.
Yeah.
Why don't you say something, because I lost my train of thought there.
But the flow of my message,
You sure set it up
I
like you had one.
I can't multitask. My brain is
I
so
understand.
compartmental that I've gone over to a joke, and now it's gonna take me a second to get back.
Come on back, man.
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying.
No, you take your time.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll get back.
The
on the
framework
journey.
for my message was let's start by talking essentially about hell and the reality of it, because nothing will get you to sober up to what is only temporary and think deeply about what is unseen and eternal quicker than acknowledging, okay, this is real. And making the point, most people, and including some Christians, will say this is the hatching of the imaginations of fiery prophets and street corner people and fire and brimstone preachers. Why can't you be more loving like Jesus? But the reality is Jesus talked more about hell than all the other teachers in the Bible combined. He mentioned hell 42 times in the Gospels, describing it. And almost always to people who already believed, to get them to live even more sober of eternity, to get them to live in light of the next life,
Right.
and get them to live with more passion and urgency, rather than using it as a scare tactic for those who don't believe to try to fear them into love, which, by the way, you can't do. And so the main point, I guess, with hell that I made was, if God wants all people in heaven, which Scripture is clear that He does, wants nobody to perish, and the Gospel, John 3:16 is proof of that, or else He wouldn't have done that. Wants nobody to perish and everybody to live forever in heaven. If God wants that, why won't God get that? And the reason is because in order for love to be love, it must be a choice. You can't force somebody into love. Forced love is called abuse. And God will not force anybody to spend forever with Him who chooses time and time again not to. Therefore, hell. And God didn't create hell for people. It was there for devils and demons. But then when the fall happened and sin entered the world, the standard for heaven is perfection, not just because God decided perfection, but because God is perfection.
Right.
and is holy
It's a really good point.
and cannot be in the presence of anything that is not.
yeah.
So something needs to be done. Either you need to live perfect, which none of us are doing. According to Romans 3, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, or that standard of perfection. So something else had to be done, and it was. And John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, so whoever believes would not perish in hell, but have eternal life in heaven. And then goes on to say, he did not come into the world to condemn it, but to save it, which implies it was already condemned.
Yeah.
That's the reality. God doesn't send people to hell. Sin sends people to hell. God sends his son to earth to get people into heaven.
So
but you
good,
have
man.
to, what Jesus said time and time again, believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great quote from G.K. Chesterton.
Yeah.
Hell is God's great compliment to the reality of human freedom and the dignity of human choice.
Oof. So,
Yeah.
so in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Yeah.
It doesn't even say in the beginning, God created heavens and the earth and hell.
Right.
Hell is this unfortunate consequence of rebellion that came about.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And the dignity of human choice to choose God or not, and he won't force himself.
Dignity is a cool word there.
Yeah, it's
That
interesting.
that choice
Yeah, it is.
actually a beautiful thing.
Well, it's interesting to me, too, that a lot of people think Christianity is like the harsh religion,
Yeah.
where it's the one place where you see hell, but every major world religion has their version of it,
Yeah.
of justice.
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
every human being knows innately that there has to be justice.
Yeah.
But Islam has hell, a
Right.
hell concept. For some Eastern religions like Hinduism and Sikhism, it's more of a reincarnation is that version of hell, that maybe you can move yourself up a caste, or maybe you can
Right.
improve your standing,
And
or
you can move
could
down.
move down.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in this forever cycle of trial and trying. So there's a version of it there. Judaism is honestly, for me, probably the most vague, trying to understand the concept of eternity. But there is in the Old Testament Sheol and this concept of paradise, and then Hades, and that there is a place of paradise and there is a place of hell, the concept of that. So it's not like Christianity, like Jesus came out of nowhere and was the only person ever to be like, hey, there's justice and not everybody's going to be in eternity with my Father.
Right.
That's a concept all throughout. The only place that you don't see a concept of justice is universalism.
Right.
Of just kind of saying
Right.
everything goes, which is subjectively based on just what people hope. But there's no doctrine
sure.
to stand on for
No,
that.
there's not. It's just like, I feel like that should be true.
Yeah, which is out of a great heart.
Oh, of course it is.
course.
And like you said, if somebody's like, man, I can't wait to talk about hell. Like, let's talk. Like, I don't really want to get coffee with you.
No,
you know, like
yeah, not
too many
really.
Christians have been too excited
Yeah.
to put hell in people's faces. When,
Right.
to your point about heaven and new earth, it feels like a disservice to what Jesus has made possible and what eternity is that we talk about it so little.
Oof.
Because then if people just kind of leave it as this vague, I'm going to mention this at the end of the sermon, raise your hand
Yeah.
and you get heaven forever. People are kind of like, what does that even, like, what is that? What does that
Yeah.
entail? What does that mean? Give me more about that. And that's why I think your
Yeah.
sermon was so important, to
Yeah.
give language and some biblical standing to the beauty of what Jesus has made possible.
I talked to so many people in the lobby who have been terrified of heaven,
yeah.
not hell, of heaven.
What's that called?
Oranophobia.
Erotophobia. Yeah.
So
I used to have that.
Yeah.
And I had a
Totally.
lady come up to me in the lobby in her 60s, and she said, when I was first grader in Sunday school, I had a teacher explain to me what heaven is, and I have been terrified of going there ever since. Heaven, not hell. And traditionally speaking, kind of describe it so ethereal. And I make the joke all the time, floating spiritual orbs bumping into each other.
Right.
Or singing for a zillion trillion years. And that Amazing Grace song, you know, we've been singing for 10,000 years. We have no less days to sing your grace than when we first begun, thinking.
That's a long
so
song.
It's like we haven't even started worshiping yet.
Yeah.
That's and then you feel bad because you're not as spiritual as apparently everybody else is who's looking forward to that. So once again, you try not to think about heaven and you go think about something else temporary
Yeah.
and take your mind off of it, and would rather hear sermons about the here and now and
Yeah.
how to maximize this. Just thinking, I guess God's going to make it. I just kind of trust him that it's going to be fine, but I'm terrified of going there. But 2 Peter describes very clearly we should be looking forward to what's waiting for us in eternity.
Absolutely.
And I really believe the fullness of life is found when you are in the present moment, but you are facing forward.
Yeah.
And I told everybody, kind of like when you have a vacation coming up on the calendar, just the anticipation of it seeps into the present moment and gives more life today because you also have a vacation coming. Yeah. And in the ultimate way, that's what eternity should do to us.
Forever,
That not only do we get to experience the present moment and laugh and enjoy today, but we also get to do it in holy anticipation of this forever paradise trip that is right around the corner.
Yeah.
And so to be present today and looking forward to, not indifferent to it, not trying to not think about it, not scared of it.
Yeah.
But make friends with eternity and look forward
So
to
good,
it,
man.
and let that give more fullness to your here and now.
And to summarize New Earth, attempt to summarize your sermon, and then you tell me.
Sure.
You go. Revelation 21:22 talks about new heavens and the new earth.
Correct.
And so instead of, to your point, floating around, it's earth, and it's real, and it's human beings and bodies, resurrected bodies, and it feels a lot more like today than we realize, just a redeemed version. And so it's this, but without all the overthinking, without all the pain, without all the bitterness, without all the judgment, without all of the things that hold us down throughout the day. It's us living with the dwelling place of God being with us, right? And so we see this Jesus resurrected body. You pointed out, what does he do? He hangs out with his disciples. He eats food, which is, I think, such a beautiful thing. And so, I think this thing that we're looking forward to, new heavens and the new earth, is these resurrected bodies where we still get to do all the things that we love to do.
Absolutely.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's so true. And I think we get a lot of clues for what's waiting for us by what we desire today. So in other words, you know how, like, if you're insecure, there's an answer to that. It's called confidence. Yeah. And so if you're insecure, you try to pursue confidence, right? If you're lonely, there's an answer to that. It's called friendship and intimacy. Yeah. I feel like Eden was those things just united. And all of a sudden, sin separated the two. So now you have a longing and you're searching for a solution.
Yes.
So even as simple as, I'm hungry, there's food. I'm thirsty, there's water. So what are your desires and longings and needs? And on a new earth paradise, those things are going to be united again. So there's not going to be a need for confidence because you're not going to have insecurity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're still going to have purpose and passion. I believe there's going to be sports and a redeemed version of competition, which drives you to become the best version of you.
Yeah.
All of those things, but without the fallout of sin to ruin it. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense.
And so the reason you want heaven to be more real than spiritual is because God made you to want something more real.
Yeah.
And he didn't make you to want something real only to give you something ethereal.
Yeah. Yes.
Let that be a clue to what's coming. He designed us originally to be spiritual beings in physical bodies in a physical place. That was Eden. And that will very much be the new heavens and the new earth for the rest of forever.
So good.
It feels like, because maybe of Bible reading plans and just the familiarity with certain parts of the Bible and not with other parts, most people see Genesis 1 and 2 and Eden, and it's like, oh man, like that would have been so nice, you know? But nobody ever finishes and gets to the last two chapters of the Bible. But if every morning you woke up and read Revelation 21:22, and that's what started your day, you would live so differently, where you wouldn't be looking back like, oh, what could have been, but you'd be looking forward.
Right.
I can't believe this is what awaits me. And that's going to put purpose to my day to day, but also in the hardships of life, which is all the disciples. Why I think Jesus talked to them a lot about eternity was because he knew they were going to go through so much persecution and trials, and gave them like, hey, you have eternity coming. So keep your eyes focused on that.
Keep your eyes focused and understand this is not, we talk about this every once in a while. It's not evacuation theology, rearranging chairs on the Titanic. I think we talked about that last week. In some way, shape, or form, what we do and how we steward what we're given now matters. Maximus Aurelius is onto something when he says what we do now will echo into eternity. I think to this verse that I said in the sermon, refinement by fire and the destruction of what's ungodly. Meaning, the more you cultivate something godly and something that lines up with the kingdom of heaven, those things will be left. And so I gotta think like the more you steward even like something like your body as a temple,
Yeah.
maybe the more you have to enjoy as far as your body goes for the rest of eternity. I don't know.
Yeah.
The more we steward, you know, whatever it is that you're creating, whatever it is that you put your hands to and put your time and energy to in a way that you're building his kingdom and not just your own, that will be left over. I don't know. But Jesus talks about all the time how heaven or the rest of eternity will be awesome for everybody, but also not quite the same.
Yeah.
Or else he wouldn't speak over and over again of getting your reward now as opposed to cashing in on your reward for the rest of forever.
Yeah.
And very clearly says, if you build your kingdom now, you're going to lose it. Like the fire refinement, it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
But the more that you sow into what's next, the more you'll have that to enjoy. So taking care of and stewarding what we're given matters, I think. I'm not sure exactly how because I've never been there. But I think one day we'll look back and I don't even know that we'll think, oh, I wish because I think all of us are going to be like, this is awesome no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think there is something to be said as far as what you do and how you build his kingdom and how you steward what you've been given
It matters.
and cultivating the godly version of it matters now.
It's like
Yes.
your primary inheritance is salvation and eternity because of Jesus, but there's a secondary inheritance of your kingdom
Correct.
work.
Yep.
Yeah, if there's any system of competition in Christendom, if Jesus was going to put one in place, it would be who can be the most humble and serve the most
right.
and the most generous with their eyes fixed on eternity. Go, I'm going to out honor everybody. I'm going to out love everybody. I'm going to pour out more than everybody because I know that it's just building for me,
Dude.
an inheritance in eternity that I can't wait
That's
for.
why he says, whatever you give will be returned to you.
Yeah.
Whether this life or, honestly, hopefully, the next. 30,
Right. You'd rather
100,
it there.
1,000-fold. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So whatever you give, you have no idea how this is coming back to you. And you're going to wish that you just did that to the max.
Okay, can I ask you guys a couple like hot topic questions people have about heaven and hell and this kind of stuff?
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, let's talk about this one. People have a really hard time with judgment and that God could possibly, and we've already kind of addressed, you know, it's thy will be done. And God has that human dignity that he's allowed choice. And so if you want to be separated from him, you can be. And he allows that. But what about the guy on the deserted island who didn't have a Western Christian missionary come to that island and read the Gospel of John to him and explain all of this to him? What do you say to that question?
Man, too bad. The missionary never got there. I don't know how God's going to get the message to him.
Great answer.
That was a joke. That was sarcastic, by the way.
that.
No, we know.
Okay, Ryan, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay. Well, God can speak to anybody, any way, shape, or form. He doesn't need a missionary to go reach that person. And we could give so many stories about that.
Yeah.
Romans 1, right? Makes it very
120,
clear.
I think.
God's invisible qualities
Yes.
are seen in creation to the extent that every person is without excuse. And so I think there is a certain amount of, to the extent to which you understand is to the extent that which you're accountable. Which, by the way, as a generation that is overtaught and underapplied that just wants to keep learning more, but doesn't do any of the stuff that we learn, we're accountable for what we know. And so be careful the amount of knowledge you just want to consume without actually putting it into practice in your life. Because that guy on the deserted island would kill to be able to have a tenth of this knowledge to apply in his life. But Romans 1 makes it clear, I think he would understand to the extent to which he could and make a decision in some way in his heart that Romans 2 says everybody's accountable to that. And I think that's where I trust in the grace and goodness of God in that moment, and where I would also say, I think that question's a cop-out.
Oh, for sure. Well, and it's similar in response to like, what about the 5-year-old in Afghanistan that never, right? It's like, well,
I'm not worried about
I
it.
think God has an accountability to that child.
That's where you trust
not
the goodness of God.
It's where you trust the goodness of God. And on this side, of the coin, you double down on evangelism and you double down on missions and you double down on our job is to do what Jesus said, is to do our best to go to all nations and make disciples.
Right. Yeah, that's a good response because of the cop-out part of that question. Some people are asking that in like a general, I don't know if I can believe in God.
Right.
If hell's a real thing. And what
Right.
about this guy on a deserted island? And that kind of leaves them to be able to be like, I'm going to judge God, you know, based off his justice. But then if it's an actual Christian who's like just genuinely asking the question, I'm grappling with this. For me, I'm like, man, if your heart breaks for that concept, then go tell somebody, like go to that island. Like that's happening all over the world. Get involved, be a part of reaching people with the gospel. And like you said, there are stories all over the world, especially right now in the Middle East, of Jesus is appearing in dreams and he's revealing himself to people in all kinds of different ways. But that, again, is not a cop-out to go, oh, he'll get him if he wants to. Like, I have a part to get to be a part of
We have a
that
part to play
as well.
So play that part with passion and then sleep soundly at night, trusting in the sovereignty of God.
It's good.
Yeah.
And you're not on a deserted island.
Exactly.
So let's talk about you.
You're not
'Cause
Tom
you do
Hanks.
know. You, unfortunately, maybe for you, if you wanted to stay vague on all this, you are accountable now because now you know. Now you've heard about this. So what are you going to do with it?
Because one day when you stand in front of God, he's not going to ask you, what do you think I should do with this guy on the deserted island?
Yeah.
He's going to ask you about you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And what you did with what you know.
Yes.
With great knowledge comes great responsibility.
Yep.
That's what we're living in right now.
I think that's just a general rule for life.
Yeah.
Is less worrying about how it all works out and more going, but what do I have? And
Right.
what have I been given responsibility for, and how can I live that out?
It's also a
that's
huge
good.
gamble to just go off of your subjective question
Oh, dude.
and just be like, well, I don't know. It's like, well, you look at any major world religion and you're going to have to make a decision about this because they all have a version of heaven and hell. They all have an eternity concept that there is something more than this life. So you have to pick there. And there's one option that tells you that it's actually possible
Right.
because God made that way for you through Jesus. Or you can subjectively just kind of do your thing and either believe for the best for everybody based off of hope that you just kind of have in your heart, or you can believe that there's nothing
Correct.
after this. Those are kind of your three options.
Yeah.
Talking about heaven,
Okay.
will my dog Bowser be in heaven?
So I've got a great story. I've maybe told this before.
Okay, do it.
I got a text. This is like year 2 of ministry for me. So like brand new to all of it. Had just started going to seminary. Was totally in that stage where I thought I had like everything nailed down theologically.
That's a good place to get to.
Oh, dude, it's a great place to get
No
to.
room for conversation anymore.
There is no debate.
I've got it.
And I had heard somebody, I think probably just on YouTube, answer no to that question. And so a friend of mine reached out who had his girlfriend, I think, had just lost her dog. And he asked like, hey, so is the dog going to be in heaven? And my answer was no.
Jeez.
And I look back on that, dude. I'm good friends with him, and we're good. I made
Speaks to his grace.
yes. But I look back on that type of arrogance
You're going to be married to Christ.
of like, first off, I don't know is a valid answer for any of these.
Yes.
But
Best answer you could give.
to have the like wherewithal to think I know definitively the answer is no to that question.
And I need to
Oh,
assert
yeah.
that right now while your girlfriend's crying.
while
'cause her
this
dog
guy
died.
is grieving and his girlfriend is grieving, that's like
Oh, yeah.
the worst.
We were in that think tank, and I think I said this on the podcast before. It's one of my most embarrassing things I look back on, but I was leading a mission trip of high school kids, and they were all really worried about the stray dogs that we were seeing. And I was like, one night, like, hey, those dogs aren't going to heaven. It's the people that we're serving here. Like, who cares about the dogs? Like, geez, man.
Didn't have
dogs
to.
matter. God cares about dogs.
Absolutely.
Could be nice.
Oh, you mean God's creation? I think that's important.
Plus, greatest apologetics argument of all time, God backwards, dog.
There it is.
What?
There
God
it
creates
is.
man as his best friend and then gives us dog as our best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're going to try to stay an atheist after I've explained that to you. Good luck. Okay?
Dude.
So,
All that to
that's
say,
an
man.
airtight case closed argument there.
Well, and I
the
think
existence
you
of God
see
through dogs.
reflections of God and God's qualities and characteristics in different animals.
Yeah.
And there will be animals because it talks
Oh,
about,
yeah.
I think I saw a guy who said everyone says it's the lion and the lamb lay down together, but actually it may
Wolf
say
and
the
the
wolf
lamb.
and the
Wolf and the
lamb.
lamb.
But we just say that. Either way, there's animals.
There will be a lion of
And-
Judah.
And a lamb.
Oh, yeah.
And I've taught Bowser how to high five, so I can kind of trick him. Like, if you accept Christ as your savior, boom, boom.
I see you. I see that paw.
I see you.
I
see you there, big guy. You're gonna probably beat me there.
Steph, Zeke, Ray, I think you should make some noise right now.
Can we just
just
stand
got
up
more
and
crowded.
celebrate that our dog just put his faith? He does live a repentant life. He feels guilt about his sin and shame, really. But I kind of have sometimes allowed that. So that he doesn't do the same thing.
Okay, here's what I think too. I'm just gonna answer subjectively what I think.
Sure.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
In Romans 8 though, but Romans 8 is very clear that creation kind of cries out and is groaning for the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
Because even creation is subjected to sin and the fallout and feels it. And in some way, shape, or form remembers what it was like back in Eden and subconsciously understands the Eden or the new earth that's in front of us and is acting out. And I think I said, like, so we know why the wolf howls.
I think I know why the dog howls at the moon.
I think I know
why
the
dog howls at the
Daylight. Good song.
Yep. And honestly, I think I know why the ground shakes and quakes and the weather acts out in violence. Romans 8 says creation is groaning. That's not just like dogs are like, oh, Jesus, come back. That's
what Bowser's trying to tell me.
That's 8.0 magnitude earthquakes.
Yeah.
The fallout of sin.
Yeah.
That's hurricanes. That's the impact of the in-between era that we live in right now.
Right.
So even, it's very clear, even God's creation, at some, like, I don't think as conscious as we do, obviously. I look at my dog Luna, and she's not made in the image of God, but she is a product of the creativity of God and has the
real
breath.
creativity there.
And has the breath of God.
Yes.
That she's
That's why
alive. And she honestly, like, she's not worried about tomorrow. And we could talk all day about the difference between human beings and the rest of creation.
Right.
But I think all of creation has a role to play in worship. And even how Luna just rests in the backyard in the shade with not a care in the world is almost worship, showing there's a deep trust of, I don't have anything to worry about. I'm here to give glory to God the way I'm created to. Yeah. That's what the stars do. That's what waterfalls do. That's what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, so I would never tell somebody. There was a time though where I would have, I would have been like, you're going to be married to Christ and you're going to be completely fulfilled. You're not going to even care. Yeah. I'm like, why would you? Okay,
That's
great. You've never been there. You don't know.
And this is completely my opinion and actually even counter to the Bible, because God calls us very good. So we're image bearers, quintessential creation. But I would much rather spend eternity with dogs than people. So I'm like, I think he would want.
Dude, dogs are awesome.
Dogs are incredible.
Dogs are freaking awesome.
Animals, for the most part, I much prefer. So.
And to have like a pet tiger or jaguar that would be so awesome.
So great.
Yeah.
Learn a lesson from 23-year-old Ryan. We need to think bigger about the afterlife, more beautiful about heaven.
Okay, well, will there be the ocean? Because it says there's no sea in Revelation.
I get this question all the time.
All the surfers are like, dude, if I can't surf, is it even heaven?
Yes, it is, because I believe, this is just me. This is just
on
me.
the record, Ryan.
and he'll explain it.
I believe that there will be a sea. So when I read the end of Revelation, when I read there will be no more sea, I take this as so all throughout Scripture, starting in Genesis, water is represented as chaos and confusion and destruction. Think about the flood in Genesis 6, wiping everything out. And so for me, when I see no more sea, my take is no more chaos, no more confusion. But man, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but every time I go to the beach, I just think the beach is the most beautiful part of this whole thing.
Right.
And so I picture New Earth with the beach. If I'm wrong, that's fine, but
shows that you're more of an idealist, because you read that as symbolic versus.
Shout out to last week.
Futurists who would
42.
literally say, if it says there's no sea, there's no sea, and not read into any of the biblical symbolism of chaos, which I.
Yes. Chaos, absolutely. Especially back in the day, they'd look at the ocean and and the mystery of it and how it. That's why David would write about, or maybe it's Solomon in Ecclesiastes going, who has wrestled the ocean and won? I think right now there's like $6 billion plus worth of treasure on the bottom of the ocean. I think over 1 million boats from a small rowboat all the way to the size of the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. And so it just represents power and chaos and death in some ways, but also when you have a healthy respect for it and you're on the beach, you feel the grandeur of God and its power, and you feel small but not insignificant. Yeah. This is an important concept, the veil between heaven and earth. There's just a few places in God's creation and a few specific moments. And when your kid's born in the hospital is one of them. And when you're with that group of friends having that meal and nobody's insecure and nobody feels like they're not part of it, but everybody's kind of in it together, like the veil is thin between heaven and earth, where you feel like this is what I'm made for and I'm made to experience this forever. And you feel that when you're at the beach or in the mountains where the veil is thin. It's like heaven on earth. And there's coming a day where that veil will be no more. And they'll be completely united between the two. And you'll feel that all the time. But I feel that more than anywhere else by the ocean.
Totally.
Or when you're telling your friend that their dog is in hell. Those are the moments.
Dude, I can't believe it
now. Yeah.
Okay. Marriage in heaven.
Oh, why don't you answer that?
My wife's biggest question.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Well, when my wife and I first got married, somehow this came up, and it became a point of contention that she was very upset about.
Okay, let me start by saying this. I actually get questions a lot and DMs a lot from people, and this really bothers them.
Oh, yeah.
It really is like,
Yes.
I don't
There's a
know.
great-
I can't handle thinking about not being married to,
Which is a compliment to their spouse.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's a great Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Larry David's they're renewing their vows, and he's like just grappling with saying forever. Yes. He's like, I don't know what my options will be. Like, I don't know what it's going to look like when I, forever. I don't know if I can say forever. Anyway, it came up, and I was probably back in my days of telling people that dogs don't go to heaven as well. But
We were pretty cool, man.
she was like, wait, like someone was saying that there isn't marriage in heaven. And I was like, Jesus has said that, which he did. Jesus gets asked by these Sadducees who didn't believe in the resurrection at all.
Yeah.
If this guy dies, and as was tradition, his brother takes his wife as his wife, but then that guy dies, and that guy dies. There's 7 brothers that have been married to this poor woman in this illustration who's had a terrible life. At some point, you have to be like, am I the problem here? Like, I have 7, whatever. Which one of these guys is she married to in the resurrection that you're talking about? And Jesus basically says, there's no marriage in the resurrection. This is bigger than what you guys are thinking about. So Steph did not love that. She's still working on that with Jesus.
Sam might love that.
Sam, that's her. She has a tattoo of that verse. There is no marriage in the resurrection.
She listens to every podcast, so I know she's going to come out of the bedroom or the bathroom where she's getting ready, where she always listens to this. Babe, I can't believe you just said that.
I did not.
I do not have that
actually
tattoo.
have that tattoo. We did a PowerPoint party where everyone has to just make a PowerPoint about anything. And Steph's theme of her PowerPoint was things that my husband thinks, and he's wrong. And one of them was about this.
That's great.
There was like 5 different things,
very,
but
very
one of
funny.
them was about this. And she had on there like no marriage in heaven. She's like, broken heart for me, the light at the end of the tunnel for Ethan.
That's so good.
That's not why I said that.
No.
I don't think, I mean, I think from what Jesus said, I would infer it's not like the marriages we think of on this earth where there's this one person, but are there special relationships or people that you have the ability to know that we shared this life with? I hope so.
I think
I hope so. So what would you say to somebody who that really bothers?
No. No, I'm kidding.
No marriage, no dog. Have fun up there.
How would you follow that up? Like, okay, there's the scriptural basis, but now let me pastor you for a moment, because I understand that can feel drastically different from anything I've ever been used to.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
Back to questions with Kayla. In Genesis, then, like man and woman, like were created for together.
Yeah.
So
Good.
it's almost like I don't know.
Great point.
So,
Great point.
And to further that, God said it's not good for man to be alone. And I think what that is showing is just how important community is and how important relationships are. And to me, again, speculating here, whether or not it's quote unquote like marriage as in like Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do think that you guys will be best friends for all of eternity. And I think that you will continue to grow closer and closer together and understand each other more and more and more. And I think that community, to Kayla's point, it's always been about being together. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of different ways that plays out. But I think what people are really afraid of is the separation that they think that means.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that I disagree with that separation mentality.
Or that like, oh, is like he gonna be back out playing the field and have other options? I'm gonna have to watch him go meet. It's not that.
Right.
It's not like he's gonna be dating and like trying to find a forever spouse type of thing.
How about this? You're not married on paper, but you're 100 times closer than you are right now as a married couple on paper.
Yeah.
You'll get to know
beautiful.
each other, both being fully complete and whole.
Yeah.
Naked in
And
every
that's
way
the
and
beautiful
unashamed.
part of
and
that
unashamed.
relationship.
Yeah.
To the Genesis thing, I would say part of the purpose for marriage was population of the earth.
Sure.
Which we won't. We're making heaven more crowded, so we're not going to need more kids.
And
there.
not just population of the earth, but family structures.
Yeah.
To create the right structure for those kids to grow up in and all of that.
So there were some
Like very practical
earth,
reasons for
practical
that.
reasons.
You know what's funny is the first draft of Single Today was called Single Forever.
Oh.
And it was going to be a play on
that's
that.
interesting.
Of like, because people always say like, am I going to be single forever? And I was going to very snarky go, yeah, actually you are.
Yeah, and your dog's dead.
The first drafts of things that I think are usually pretty cold. And so that's why I have learned to get better at that. But I was in the car with Corey Miller and I was walking him through my whole outline for the draft. And he was like, that's so good. That's so good. That's so good. And then I go, and I'm going to call it Single Forever. And he stops and he goes, that's not it. And we kind of go back and forth. And a couple of days later is where I realized, oh, yeah, you're right. It's Single Today. And I call him and he's like, yeah, because this is the day that the Lord has made. And we get all excited about it. But that for me has been a big part of the journey of getting back to, okay, but what about today? Where are we at today? And I think that forever is going to be in a lot of ways a continuation of the way that you live today. And so focus on what's right in front of you and love the people right in front of you, whether you're married or single, with everything that you got. I think that's that's how I read. It's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah. But good for those couples that are grappling with that, because that means they actually really value and care about each other in their marriage and want to be together versus if somebody was like, hey, man, this isn't forever. Right? Like, I just got to get to the finish line and I don't have to see this person ever again.
Totally.
Would be very sad.
Yeah.
So,
and the same concept of, to your point, thinking that heaven's just going to be floating orbs moving around.
Right.
The reason that feels off is because it's doesn't align with the way we feel like God created us.
Right.
And so to the person in a healthy marriage, like, of course, that doesn't feel aligned with how they're created. And to that I say, but who's to say you can't get closer and closer and closer for all of eternity?
Yeah, because think about all the reasons you want to be married, whether it's friendship or intimacy or a closeness, sharing life with somebody, safety even. Like we could even throw out words that go well beyond just like friendship.
yeah.
You won't long for those things.
Yeah.
You will have all of those things met.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even all the reasons you would want to like or need a marriage now will be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so it's the ultimate story of when we tell people the greatest thing you can do if you're single wanting to be married or if you're married looking to stay married is to become as complete as you can in God, because you're going to be the easier version of you to be married to, because you're going to need that person less to be all of those things, because you're letting God be those things for you. And ultimately, the ultimate picture of that is in heaven and new earth one day. You will have the fulfillment and completion of all of those things. Longing for nothing because you're lacking nothing And therefore, you have the healthiest friendship with that person because both of you show up for the rest of forever needing nothing, only everything to give to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the weight of completion is not assigned to your husband or to your wife. It is actually already taken care of by the presence of God.
That's it.
Yep.
He will be with them and be their God.
That's it.
And there will be no more longing and crying and death and mourning.
What a beautiful North Star to try to practice today, to try to step in today and live like it's true today.
Yeah.
That's so well said.
Yeah.
We're given some information about the wedding supper of the Lamb.
Yes.
And at every wedding reception, you have to have the dance where all the couples come out on the dance floor. So maybe you get to see your spouse from this time, and we were married for 50 years, and then you leave the dance floor and clap for the people that were married for 60. That's a wedding tradition. So you get to at least see them on the dance floor.
Oh, yeah.
And celebrate.
Because you'll be on the dance floor for a billion, trillion,
theologically
years.
sound.
So if you hate dancing,
Oh boy.
you better take some dance lessons now and learn to like it.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay?
Well, see you guys in heaven and on new earth.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully
We're neighbors. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. And
bet we
hopefully
will
we're
be.
neighbors at 3 Arch Bay in Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
And then
on
one
new
of
earth.
us has a par 3
A golf
in our
course.
backyard. One of us has the pool, and then one of us has the basketball court.
Dibs on basketball court.
And we all have jet skis.
Yes. Yeah. Can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be so
See
fun.
you guys there as well.
All right. Thank you, Ethan.
Questions with Kayla on
Doug,
New Earth.
You're gonna have that kid, so we may not see you for a little while. Oh, sorry to freak you out. So Doug may take a couple weeks off here.
Gordon Bombay Wekenman.
When that kid's coming along, I'm lining up some great substitutes.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of like
yeah.
when Michael left the office, so we try out some other bosses.
Yeah.
Robert California is going to be here for a little bit.
That would be awesome.
Could you imagine?
That would be awesome.
So we got some fun
I'd watch
episodes
it.
coming up these next couple weeks. If you're gone next time, we'll miss you. But
Yes.
feel free to call in. You know the number,
Yeah, I do.
1-800-AFTERTHOUGHts. And we'll just catch up with you. Can't wait to hear who's right about your kid. And we got a special.
There is something interesting on here. I will say that.
We got a celebrity.
Something interesting.
Whoa.
What does that mean?
Got a guest speaker this weekend. Come to church. It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And some fun episodes coming up.
Not even really a guest.
Oh,
Family.
Did he give it away? Tune in next week
We'll see.
on the Afterthoughts podcast.
To be continued. ... Journey ...
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it.